NBC's hit comedy The Office, and arguably the greatest comedic sitcom of all time, first aired on March 24th, 2005 and ended May 16th, 2013. Airing 9 seasons is my personal favorite show. It is a must-watch if you haven't seen it yet. In total, I have watched The Office through 6 times, and I consider myself an expert on all things The Office. But the show has some things I just want to know more about, like Creed's life outside of work or Dwight's weird family history. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about the Scranton Strangler, a more mysterious character in the Office universe. The character's true identity is never officially revealed to us in The Office, but in this video I'm going to prove to you that it is in fact Toby Flenderson. Everyone that has seen the show knows that Toby Flenderson is an HR rep for Dunder Mifflin. At first glance, you might think that Toby Flenderson is a shy, sad man that could not do anything wrong. I'm not only going to prove that Toby is indeed the Strangler, but also show what motivated him to become a psychopath. During the first few seasons of The Office, we can see the anger and frustrations Toby's going throughout his life. For one, his boss, Michael Scott, is completely mean to him and is rude to him every chance he gets. On top of that, Toby has gone through a failing marriage that ended up in his wife leaving him. He struggles to bond with his daughter and has a boring, low-budget job. Toby never gets to speak his mind without being interrupted by one of his office workers. This has to build up a lot of frustration. It's season 3 and it seems like things are about to get a whole lot better for Toby. And Pam is finally single, and Toby had a crush on Pam for a while, so he took this opportunity to ask her out. This of course fails when Toby gets too nervous to ask her. Brings Toby back to his miserable life. To make things even worse, throughout the rest of the season, Toby has to watch Pam as she falls in love with Jim. In the season 4 episode, Dunder Mifflin Infinity, Toby tries to stop Pam and Jim from performing PDA in the workspace by sending out an email to the whole office. This is of course out of pure jealousy of Jim and Pam's newly formed relationship. Later that season, Toby awkwardly places his hand on Pam's leg. Once realizing the terrible decision he made, Toby abruptly announces that he's moving to Costa Rica, then quickly runs out of Dunder Mifflin and hops the fence. In search of a new start to his life in Costa Rica, Toby only lasts a few days. He ends up breaking his neck in a zipline accident and gets hospitalized in a foreign country for months. This is the moment that I believe that Toby becomes the Scranton Strangler. He has had so much misfortune in his life, he couldn't even catch a break in Costa Rica. Toby has completely lost it at this point and feels like nothing good will ever happen to him, so he decided to get revenge in the town that started all of his misfortune, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Toby returns from Costa Rica in season 5 with a completely new goal in mind.
Silent killers.
You are the silent killer. Go back to the annex.
You'll see. You'll see.
We first hear about the Scranton Strangler in the season 6 episode The Delivery. This episode was completely based around Pam giving birth to her first child with Jim. Toby can be seen at the beginning of this episode at the office, but never shows up to the hospital when Pam's giving birth, even though everyone else from the office is there to support Pam and Jim. This is a very important detail, because the very next day, Andy gets Cece a present of the morning's newspaper, which reads, "Scranton Strangler strikes again." How ironic. The night Jim and Pam were having their baby is the night we first hear about the Scranton Strangler. Now we already know that Toby has feelings for Pam, and Toby was the only one from the office not present at the hospital. This makes me extremely confident that Toby's to release his anger from the fact that Pam was having a baby with another man. In season 7, things get even more interesting. In the season 7 episode The List, Robert California takes a group from the office out to a restaurant. Jim starts talking about how his daughter Cece loves tickling. Then Toby suddenly says, "I should not be here," and leave. There could be 2 reasons why Toby was so uncomfortable with this conversation. Either he is uncomfortable talking about Jim and Pam's baby, or he formed a connection with tickling and strangling. After all, both acts have to do with an unwanted placement of hands on the body. Next up, we have episode 7 of season 7, The Christening. Jim and Pam's daughter Cece is being christened at a church. In the episode, Toby struggles to enter the church. He finally goes inside of the church at the end of the episode and asks, "God, why are you always picking on me?" This shows that Toby has some sort of guilt that's preventing him from entering the church. Maybe strangling people? The very next episode of the show, Viewing Party, starts out with everyone in the office, besides Toby, huddled around Toby's desk, watching the Scranton Strangler get chased by the police. There are 3 crucial things to notice in this scene. 1. Toby's not present at the office, which means he could be the man in the car getting chased by the police. 2. Toby's office phone rings during this scene. This could not be a work call because Aaron, the office receptionist, is not at reception to forward the call. This leads me to believe the person calling is actually Toby. I think he was going to confess to the office that he was the Strangler because he thought that he was about to be caught. 3. The Scranton Strangler's car that is being chased by the police has been seen in one other episode. The exact same green 2000 Mercury Qdogger is seen in none other than the Scranton parking lot in the first episode of Season 6. This means that the Scranton Strangler has been to Dunder Mifflin at least once. I tried finding what car each employee of Dunder Mifflin drove throughout the show. No one was seen driving the 2000 green Mercury Qdogger. This does not prove Toby innocent, however. Toby has been seen driving multiple cars throughout the show. The first one being a silver blue sad 92X wagon way back in Season 2 in Take Your Daughter to Work Day. The other car he was seen driving was a Subaru Impreza in the Season 8 episode Garden Party. Now there's a good possibility that Toby could have owned a different car in the years between Season 2 and Season 8. Moving on, in Season 7 episode 11, Classy Christmas Part 1, Toby gets elected to be a juror for the Scranton Strangler case. In Season 7, Episode 21, Michael's Last Dundies, Toby states that he suspects that the suspect is not actually guilty anymore. How did Toby go from being so sure that the suspect was guilty to be completely unsure that he put an innocent man in jail? Well, this is because Toby is the Scranton Strangler. He eventually started feeling guilty for putting an innocent man in jail and told others. The final episode in this theory is episode 16 from Season 9. Moving on. In this episode, Toby goes to confront the Strangler in prison. We later see him in a neck brace because apparently the Strangler strangled him. It's odd that we never actually see that scene. The way I see it is that Toby either faked the injury to show Nellie that the man in prison was actually a Scranton Strangler, or he confessed to the man in prison that he was the true Scranton Strangler, and the man was so outraged that he ironically strangled Toby. That is my theory on how Toby Flenderson is the Scranton Strangler.